When he took the oath of office for his second term, Donald Trump became the oldest man to do so in U.S. history. Next month, he turns 80. Today, the U.S. president saw his doctor for a checkup. He said he received a clean bill of health. On Tuesday, Trump traveled to Walter Reed Military Hospital, where he had several hours of a physical exam as well as a dental check. The White House said today's visit is part of Trump's yearly health care regimen. But recent photos of swollen legs, skin rashes, and frequent bruising on the president's hands have raised concerns about the U.S. leader's health. All right, on to pull in now Ethan Bearman. Ethan is a California talk radio host. He's a well-known political analyst. He has joined us numerous times in the past to discuss U.S. politics, especially presidential politics. Ethan, it's good to see you again. So let's talk about this physical exam. President Trump says that his physical earlier today at Walter Reed checked out perfectly. We have not seen a doctor's report, however, yet. Does it matter?
Well, first off, Brent, it's great to be with you again. So thanks for having me on. Here, we have no reason to believe anything that the president says because we go back to his first term when his physician, who's now a congressman from Texas, made outlandish and outrageous statements about his health after one of these checkups. Furthermore, we've gone from annual checkups in recent years, going back to President Bill Clinton all the way through to present, to them now saying he has semi-annual checkups. So which is it? Semi-annual, annual? You pointed out, the issues with his physical appearance, let alone his mental acuity. We've seen him falling asleep during major events on television live. So the idea that we're going to just take at face value his statement that everything is great is not founded on his pattern or precedent.
Well, Ethan, Trump, he does always say that he's in top condition, and his doctors, they've usually backed him up. That has to be worth something, or does it?
Well, I mean, if you're one of that 33% of the American public who just goes along with everything he says, then of course that's all you need is his doctor saying everything is perfect. But everybody else who's suffered through, the endless series of false statements, lies, whether they're intentional or otherwise. I mean, you're based in Germany at the moment. The European Union has suffered horribly from statements that come from this president that turn out not to be true. So on what basis does the average American have to believe what the president is saying? That's the sorry state of this administration and its terrible track record of having sycophants just spout whatever it is in favor of the president. We need facts. We need the reality on what's on the ground. And we really don't know. And understanding that our president is the oldest in office, age is just a number. It's how they're functioning. And his appearance and his behavior in the last few months it lends itself toward disbelieving that everything is fine.
Yeah, as you say, the president, he turns 80 next month. He's the oldest president ever elected. How important should age be for the president? And for that matter, how important should it be for all politicians?
Well, this is the difficult conversation to have. Age is just a number. However, the science does show at some point, we begin to decline. The question isn't the numerical age of a president, a senator, a representative in the House of Representatives, whatever it might be. It's how are they functioning? I mean, we have a Republican who disappeared. I believe it was roughly 2 months. We had no contact. We had another one recently who had to retire after they found the congressperson who had disappeared for some period of time. That's not how a functioning government works, is when our leaders are no longer mentally able and have that acuity to lead our country. So it's up to the individual and how they present themselves and how they're functioning as opposed to the actual number that shows up based on their date of birth.
I'm wondering, Ethan, what do your listeners who are calling in to your show on the radio, what do they say about President Trump? Because on this side of the Atlantic, there's been a lot of attention to the physical signs of perhaps a man who is in health decline. I mean, is that, topic number one many times for your listeners?
No, topic number one is not the president's health. Topic number one is the cost of living, the cost of gas, the cost of groceries, the cost of rent. Whatever it is, the day-to-day cost of living in the United States has been rising dramatically. We were promised all of that to end, and the tariffs just made it tremendously worse. And then it just continues from there with the oil issues coming out of the Strait of Hormuz and the war that President Trump himself started. So the age of the president has been a hot topic on campaign trails and among a certain section of the chattering classes, if you will. But overall, it is really just the fact that our cost of living is becoming very difficult in the United States.
You know, Ethan, you say that age is just a number. It's just a number until it's not. I mean, at the end of the day, how much does a president's health actually factor into how Americans vote?
Wow, I think that's a fantastic question, Brent. It matters when they're displaying behaviors that would call into question their fitness to be the commander-in-chief here in the United States. Again, we had the two oldest people at one point in the last campaign until President Biden dropped out, and then it was Vice President Harris. But it will continue to be an issue as long as people have reason to believe that the president might not be functioning at the highest level. And worse, at least in the case of let's say, this administration, we don't know the truth because we have a series of people who the president has surrounded himself with that have shown themselves to be sycophants, to be partisan hacks who will say whatever it is to appease and please the president. So it makes it that much harder with this administration to know what really is going on and the capability of the president.
Ethan, unfortunately, we're out of time, but we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. It's always good to get your insights from the West Coast of the United States. Thank you.
Thanks, Brent. Thanks for having me back on.